Ready? Yeah. Okay. All right. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to our seminar series. I hope you're all well and healthy and in a good space. So let's continue with the third part of our seminar series. So today I will tell you a little bit about how to think about your logical flow, how to improve the logical flow of your writing. And at the end, we'll see how much time we have. I would like to give you a few slides about the the individual sections in a paper and how to organize yourself to make sure that you have a nice logical flow. So last week we talked about storyline. I hope that everyone is clear now how to think about the story, but also how to build a good and meaningful storyline in your papers. And at the end of last class, we talked about abstract as an example of storytelling in a mini form. Yeah, the abstract being the mini version of a scientific paper. And so there were two tasks that I gave you, and the task one was about writing a conclusion for an abstract of a paper that is already published. Two participants have completed this task, so I will wait until next week. Maybe we'll have a few more to do this task. The second task here, the second task was about checking your papers, some of your selected papers for abstract, so particular elements of abstract. And so here we received quite a few answers from you. So what I will do now is I will take you through just three of the articles that you have shared with me. So here you can see the first one, insights into a client protein release mechanism. So here the students said that yes, that's an original research paper. How many things are difficult to understand? Yeah, the student obviously has a few issues there. And the biggest problem, as the student says, is too much technical vocabulary. So let's have a look at what the students think. The student thinks this abstract contains all the different parts that we have talked about: general background, scientific problem, description of methods, results, and a conclusion statement. So let's have a look if this is true. There is a question that the student is asking, we can talk about in a moment, but this is the abstract, and I have highlighted for you here the different sections. We don't have to read through, you can have a look later on, but you can see this abstract contains background, it contains a problem statement, yeah. However, how IDRs impact chaperone action remains poorly understood, yeah. So very clear problem statement, very good. Then you can see there's a results section and it has a conclusion section, yeah. So this is very good. Now the student is asking, yeah, the student said the length of abstracts varies. How can we weigh the number of words in each of these sections? So as you remember from the Nature guidelines, it actually talks about up to 5 sentences for the background. Now, normally this section is far shorter. Sometimes you just get 1 sentence, half a sentence for background and half a sentence for problem. I think when you write your abstract for the first time, you should try to expand this a little bit so that it's a bit clearer for the reader. You normally have 250 words anyway, so this should be more than enough to have at least 2 or 3 sentences background, 1 sentence is problem. You don't need more than that for problem statement. Results section, as you saw with the Nature guidelines, should only really be one sentence, but if you have 2 or 3 sentences, it's okay. And that gives you more than enough space for the conclusion section, okay? So if you have like 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, yeah, sort of a ballpark figure, then you'll be fine, yeah? The problem really is when your abstract only has 150 words, if you publish a short report in Science or Nature, then it gets really difficult, yeah? So then you have to start thinking about how to do this. But a standard abstract has 250 words, so if you divide like this, it will be fine, okay? So let's have a look at, there was something else that I wanted to point out. Have a look at the verb use in this abstract. Here you can see every single verb in this abstract is in present tense. And we have talked about tense in the abstract a little bit last week, if you remember. And we talked about whether it is really a good idea to have every verb in present tense. As you can see here, I think most verbs are okay to be used in present tense. But if you say here we discover, makes no sense. You have already investigated, you have already discovered, right? To use the word discover is a little bit strange. Also, you hardly, I mean, no one talks about we discovered. I mean, this is a bit cocky, yeah? Our findings revealed is a term that is accepted. Normally, people would say we show or our findings show. So leave the word discovery or discover for other people, okay, when you describe their work. The other example is we find. No, you found. It's already passed. You have already done your experiments. You have already published a paper. It makes no sense, yeah? So these verbs refer to action in the past, yeah? But we show is a verb, yeah, that indicates present tense in this paper. So no matter when you pick up this paper, it's always shown at that moment, so it's okay, yeah? Find is another verb that you should use in past tense. We found in the past before we published this paper. Okay, so please pay attention. It really makes no sense, and there's no advantage of using these verbs in present tense. But unfortunately, that is a tendency nowadays to do just that. All the other verbs are fine because they refer to facts or perceived facts. Yeah, that's totally okay. So please have a look later on at this. So here we have another article. You can see original research paper, all words are clear, but the participant, yeah, the student says too much technical vocabulary and no general background. So let's have a look if this is true. What else was there? Description, methods, results, conclusions. So let's have a look if there is really no background. There's a comment by the student. I think the abstract is too boring, but I may not be able to write a better one for the time being. So the student says for the time being, because the student believes that after listening to the seminar series, he or she will be able to write a more interesting abstract. So let's have a look. This is really interesting. You can see at the beginning there's a sentence. I'm not quite sure what role it plays. It's more like announcing the novel tool that has been developed. Then we have in blue results, then in yellow method, and then results, and then we have a conclusion. Yeah. So this is an abstract that can certainly be improved if it shows two things. If you have a look, this was published in Nature Communications. This is a very good journal. So it shows us two things. First of all, it shows us that computer science plays by a different set of conventions. They don't have to stick to the general kind of principles that we teach you. And the other thing that shows us is if your work is good, writing becomes secondary. Okay, so the science is always number one priority, right? Yeah. As I said last week, if your writing is really bad, but your science is great, the journal will probably say, hey, we really want to publish this paper. Can we do the editing for you? Yeah. So that's what you can take home from this. Here's another one, original research paper. Yeah, the student thinks two words unclear in every sentence. I think that's already quite a lot, and that will make it very hard for you to really understand the science. Too much technical vocabulary, sentences written in bad English. That's a really interesting finding. We have general background, we have a scientific problem, and we have a conclusion. This student thinks there is no results, which would be very, very intriguing. As you can see here, this abstract has background. It has half a sentence problem, which is okay. Yeah, it starts with but is, as I will show you today, but is rarely used. Switch to however in your academic writing. Yeah? Result section takes up the majority of this abstract, yeah, which is a little bit too much. The authors probably think that they should really talk about everything they have found. And a very short conclusion, yeah. So I gave this only 3 stars. Yeah, when you write your own abstract, try to focus on the main 1 or 2 results, and then give your readers a little bit more about the significance of your study. Because here you can see it says, this study opened a new access to the development of smart pro-drug delivery nano platforms. There's no information really. It's kind of a blah blah kind of a statement that you find in many papers, but they don't say really much here. Yeah? So this is something that you need to pay attention to. Now I want to come back quickly to this point the student made here. Too much technical vocabulary and at least 2 words unclear in every sentence. When we talk to our students here at UCAS about this, every student seems to have this problem, that the main issue with reading English papers is really a lack of understanding of the technical vocabulary. And we discuss what tools or how can we address this? How can we change this situation? And when I talk to our students, what we find is that when they go through university, and I'm sure this is true for you too, when you go through university, all your textbooks are in Chinese. And then you graduate, and then you start your master's and PhD, and out of a sudden, everything is in English, right? So I think this is maybe where this issue needs to be addressed. And that needs to be addressed at the university level. There should be some kind of hybrid approach that at least a small percentage of your textbooks should be provided in English so that you can familiarize yourself with the technical vocabulary, because otherwise this jump is just too big. And yeah, this is something for you guys to discuss with your teachers. But certainly something to think about whether this is a good solution. If you can think of any other solutions, please let me know. I would love to hear from you. Okay, so these were just 3 examples of how to do this kind of analysis, and this is something you can do every time you read a paper. You just take the abstract. It takes you 5 minutes. You highlight the different sections, have a look. Do they have background information? Do they give you the scientific question? Do you have a decent amount, not too much, results description? And do you have a proper conclusion that describes the importance of the study? Okay, yeah. So this is something you can do as a regular exercise. And I'm sure by the time you write your own paper, you have a much better understanding on how to write an abstract. Okay? Any question? Please give me some feedback so I know that you are listening. So is that exercise clear? Give me clear or unclear. however many are out there, 1,000 or 2,000. Clear, Jane. Thank you, Jane. You're the first. You get 5 golden stars. Anyone else? Joanna is back. Very good. Excellent. Tao, yeah, excellent. Thank you very much. Yeah, Ranminger, excellent. Good. Then let's continue with today's topic. So today I want to introduce you into this whole idea of logical flow. Now, our students spend 2 weeks on this unit, and here we only have an hour really to talk about this. So we cannot possibly talk about everything, and we cannot do all the exercises. Please remember, all this material is on our MOOC platform. You can go in there, it is free. You don't have to sit exams. All the material is there, all the exercises. Yeah, if you want to get more details than what we can provide you here today. So there are always a number of questions, and I will run you through this and get back to those questions at the end. So as I have shown you in the basic class, when we talk about logical flow, there are a number of different elements, as you can see here, that you can go through and think how to use them to improve the logic of your paper. And one of the most important elements to improve the logical flow is shown here, linker phrases. I just give you a very quick overview over the linker phrases that you normally use. You can see there in this red bar. These are the informal linkers that you are all familiar with. Besides, all in all, in a nutshell, to sum up. Meanwhile, so in my opinion, all of these informal linker phrases you must not use. I mean, whatever I tell you, you go to the papers and you have a look yourself whether you can find any of those. I can promise you, you will only find them in computer science papers. You will not find them in biology papers. Okay, so everyone else, please stick to those ones. Stick to the formal ones that are in this table. This table is nearly complete. There are a few more in comparison. I think it's not in here. But once you're familiar with those and you find them in the papers you read, I'm sure you will find all the other ones that are used as well. Now, of course, how do you know which ones to use? The answer is always the same. This is the summary slide of this whole seminar series. You have to start reading papers. Okay? Yeah? So last week we did a little test. How many of you have actually started reading Science News? It was very few of you. So please, yeah, remember, you need to start reading, and Science News, of course, is the best way to do so. So one of the exercises that we always do, and I will just show you this here, go to papers that you read and have a look if you can find the usual linker phrases that you use all the time. Meanwhile, besides, yeah, look for those terms. And if you cannot find them, it means they are not being used. And if they're not being used, it means you have to look for alternatives. You have to look for other options. Okay? So just to show you, meanwhile is really problematic, and therefore it is not used because it is shifting its meaning. Yeah. So really, it used to mean simultaneously at the same time. Yeah. I am making tea now at the same time I'm preparing whatever my breakfast act. Yeah. But when you have a look in newspaper articles, yeah, when you read China Daily, let's say, you'll find meanwhile in every article of the China Daily. Have a look what the meaning there is. It hardly ever means simultaneously. Okay, so that's why please don't use it. Besides, have a look at this. Yeah, besides our individual biological makeup, color perception is less about seeing, blah, blah, blah. This is a term that is rarely used in academic writing. Switch to in addition. Okay, yeah. If this is what you mean, sometimes you mean something else, then you have to change it. Yeah. So have a look at this. So here is the original writing, and here we have the improved version. This is a very common mistake, and that's why I show you this. So please pay attention to how you use while in the original version. For example, RPN10 is the main receptor for ERAT substrates. Full stop, and then new sentence, while RPN13 is not. That's grammatically incorrect. Yeah, you cannot use while in a simple sentence like this. While can only be used when you have two contrasting elements in a sentence. For example, RPN10 acts as the main receptor, comma, while or whereas RPN13 only plays a minor role. Okay, main role, minor role. They have to be in the same sentence. Yeah? So, of course, while can be placed at the beginning or in the second part. Both is fine. The meaning is pretty much the same. There's no difference. But if you put it at the beginning, you make it easier for your reader, because your reader knows, okay, there's a while. That means there are two contrasting parameters described, or two different systems, contrasting systems. Yeah. Especially if you have very long sentences, it's a very good idea to place it at the beginning. Otherwise, the reader kind of has to go back. Yeah, this is Marfan. All right. So this is all I want to say about linkers, just because we don't have so much time today. But please go to your papers and have a look. How many of the informal linkers can you find? How many of the formal linkers? How are they being used? If I can just say one more thing in terms of linkers, the use of linkers in Chinese is slightly different to the use of linkers in English at a grammatical level. Sometimes you use two linkers, one at the beginning of the first part and one at the beginning of the second half, right after the comma, like although, but. In English, that doesn't work. You can only use one. Yeah. So when it comes to conjunctions, linker phrases, conjunctions, you must pay attention. There is a difference how they are being used in English compared to Chinese. Okay. So, any questions related to linkers? Any comments or questions? Is that clear? Clear, or any questions? Clear, yeah? Okay. Jane, the difference between while and however really depends on the context. So while is used to indicate that there is a clear difference, let's say at the same level. While this dog is blue, this dog is green. Yeah. However, is used in a slightly different way to maybe make an additional argument about the same system. Yeah. So you could argue, sort of in a nutshell, while it's being used to do a comparison between two things. However, maybe more about an extra explanation about something that you have just talked about. Okay. Yeah. Clear? Okay. Good. So then let's continue. And let's talk about the second element that is very important and is one that you will find used a lot in academic writing, and that is this plus summary verb. So here, have a look at this example. The number of applications has increased steadily while the number of places has remained constant. Here, you have another example of while, yeah, in one sentence. This situation has resulted in intense competition for admission. So here you can see that situation, the term situation is used to describe the entire first sentence. Yeah, the first sentence describes a situation about number of applications. And this is being picked up in the second sentence. Yeah, so then you say this situation has resulted in intense competition. This is a very common construct in academic writing, and this is one that I would like you to pay attention to. And again, I will just give you one summary slide on this. You go out, you have a look at the papers and do some paperwork yourself on this. But there is one important thing about the summary words. You can use them not just to summarize information from the sentence before, but you can use them to indicate to your readers what you think about your result. So instead of saying this change, you can say this improvement. Let's say the number of people that have died in car accidents has changed from whatever 1,000 in 1950 to 500 in 1970. So instead of saying this change, we know there's a change, there's a difference in number, but you can actually say this improvement. Yeah. So an improvement, yeah, immediately tells the reader that you think that this reduction in numbers is an improvement. Yeah. So you can provide, using these summary words, you can provide additional information for your readers. Now, in a case of car accidents, it's very easy to understand. But if you have something much more difficult to understand, a much more complicated context or system, your readers may not be sure whether it is an improvement. So this is where the summary words are very helpful. You can help your readers to understand what you think, how you interpret your own results. Okay, yeah. So this is an additional thing. Okay, so let's have a look at some examples here from papers. So we ask our students to go through papers and have a look if they can find these constructs. So the first one, you can say these results. This is probably the most commonly used summary word, results. These results show, yeah? Make sure when you have these and results, this is a plural. Show has to be plural. The verb has to be plural. Yeah, cannot be singular. So that is a good example. Here, the second one is an example where the summary word is missing. So this is lazy writing. And again, it is a sign that the reader does not pay attention to the audience. The writer knows exactly what he or she means by this, but the readers may not know. So again, always use the summary word behind this if you refer to information, the sentence before. Okay? This paper, of course, it does not belong into this category of this the summary word. Paper is not what has been described in the sentence before. Yeah, it just talks about, okay, this paper. Yeah, it's the same here in this review. So this is not what you're talking about. But these findings, so findings is something that has been described in the sentence or in the sentences before. That's another example of these plus summary word. Okay, so findings, results, reports, studies, these are the most commonly used summary words in papers. Yeah, so this is something for you to pay attention to. So when you read papers, have a look. Can you find this construct? Do you find it often in your papers? And this is a task that you can do as a homework. Yeah, you can go to those papers that you have in front of you or in your computer. Have a look what kind of summary words can you find. Once you pay attention to those summary words, your brain will build a mental library. And when you start writing your own paper, you don't have to think about it anymore. You already know what commonly used summary words are. Okay? Yeah, that's what you have to do. This is what we hope you can take away from the seminar. Yeah, so we hope we can open your eyes to these elements. Yeah, so please pay attention. Okay, is this element clear? This element of improving your logical flow in your writing? Any questions? Jane, clear? Yeah. Okay. Excellent. Do we only have 5 participants today? What happened to all the others? From 1,000 to 5? Do we have more than 5? Please let me know. Okay, the next thing that is really important, and that is a major problem because you use that a lot in your normal non-academic writing, is the use of conjunctions. So here, have a look. This is how you would write a text in your normal kind of email or newspaper style English. The poverty levels were found to be reduced, though the unemployment levels remained high, and the illiteracy levels also. But no changes in income distribution were observed during the time of this study. So many of you will probably say, well, what's wrong with that? It sounds totally okay. This is how I write, and this is how I write in English, and no one has ever complained. Now, in academic writing, you cannot use conjunctions and, but, or like this. In academic writing, you have to change to something else. You have to make sure, let me have a look if no, we don't have the example here, it doesn't matter. In academic writing, sorry, we are going the wrong direction. Here, in academic writing, you have to replace these conjunctions at the beginning of a sentence with a proper academic linker phrase. In addition, instead of and, if it's required, but you replace with however. Yeah, use those linker phrases that I have shown you in the very first part here today, and replace these conjunctions. Conjunctions and, but, or in academic writing should only be used in a sentence, in the middle of a sentence. Let's say you have a list, apple, pears, and oranges. This is how you should use your linker phrases, not at the beginning of a sentence. Again, yeah, students ask us, why not? Please go to your papers, have a look. How many people do you actually find? How many papers do you find that use these conjunctions at the beginning of a sentence? You will not find any. And the reason is that these conjunctions are very ambiguous. And what does and mean? So here's an example. Have a look at this. From an informally written text. Cars are moving at 60 miles an hour. That's a lot of energy. And little tiny particles can get into the atmosphere with that energy. What does and actually mean here? In addition? Yeah. Does it mean as a result? Yeah. It's actually ambiguous. We don't really know what the original, what the author of this text actually means. So there are various options. Sometimes and can just be deleted. Sometimes it means in addition. Sometimes it means as a result. Yeah. So then you have to start thinking about how to deal with this. And today, in this part of logic, we have already talked about this energy. We talked about this plus summary verb. Yeah. And there are other ways. In a moment, I show you the ing clause that can also be used to logically link causal events. Okay, so don't use conjunctions because the meaning is not clear, it's not precise. And as you remember, we made this point at the very beginning that academic writing, the most important thing is not to make an impression. The most important thing is to be clear, precise, and logical. Okay, so here is an example of how the use of conjunctions in normal non-academic writing often occurs to describe causal relationships and how problematic this is. Have a look at this. Yesterday, I ate too much ice cream and developed severe stomachache. So what does the and actually mean here? What does the and indicate about the relationship between me eating too much ice cream and developing severe stomachache? Is a result. Yining says is a result. So, yes, but so is informal. Please delete so from your academic vocabulary. Then, yeah, so you're indicating that this is a consequence, right? But and does not indicate consequence. And it's just a list. I ate too much ice cream. That's one thing. And the other thing is I developed severe stomachache. Now, the problem, of course, is, yeah, Giovanna, very good, thus causing. Yeah, so the problem is everyone understands that I developed severe stomachache because I ate too much ice cream, right? We all know that. And that's the problem. Yeah, so in academic writing, you must pay attention to your audience. Your audience does not know everything you know. You must always imagine that they do not know what your results mean. It's the first time they hear about your results. They have never met your results before. You are the only one and your supervisor. So please always make sure that you clearly and precisely describe relationships. Yeah. So here, the relationship, yeah, is it coincidence or is it causal? Well, we know it's causal. So then in academic writing, you would have to write like this. Yesterday, I ate too much ice cream, comma, thus developing severe stomachache. Yeah. Does it make sense? Yeah. Okay. So, of course, with this example, you will say, well, of course, we knew this already from the original sentence, but let me give you another example to make clear to you how confusing this can be once you move into an academic context. Have a look at this. Most of you are biologists, so you will understand this. This method produces fusion proteins that are expressed inside inclusion bodies and dramatically reduces their yield. Okay, so please tell me, what is the relationship between inclusion bodies and reduction in yield? I want to see 1,000 responses. What does and indicate here? Anyone? Which can? Yeah. Try to reduce your use of can as a result. Okay, so Giovanna says, well, we start a new sentence. Yeah. Okay, that's certainly possible. Cherry resulting in something. Yes, very good. Yeah, that is the leading to. Very good. Yeah, this is the other form we haven't talked about yet, but the ing form is another way of indicating a causal relationship, and that's what should be done here. Yeah, as we have just seen in the ice cream result, you should write it like this. This method produces fusion proteins that are expressed inside inclusion bodies, comma, resulting in dramatically reduced product yields. Now, Jane, you're absolutely right. You can also say as a result. Yeah. Resulting, so the ing form, maybe here is better. So if you start a new sentence, you say, as a result, the yields are dramatically reduced. It's kind of a very short sentence, so it's maybe not necessary to break this up. Yeah. In this case here, you can probably go with resulting in. Okay. Yeah. use as a result if you have a long sentence, if there's two or three lines of argument or description of the consequences following your initial description. Yeah. So this is how you should describe causal relationships. Have a look at this. We found that the affinity of our antibody was dramatically increased, and their half-life was tenfold higher than that of the original antibody. Again, what is N indicating here? Is N indicating a causal relationship? Further, Jane, further, yeah. In academic, Xiao, what's more? Please do not use what's more in academic writing. Moreover, yes, look, yeah, Mr. or Mrs. Zhang, besides, I just told you, do not use besides. Do not use what's more, yeah? These are informal linker phrases, but the idea is correct, yeah? Jerry, in addition, very good. You start a new sentence. No meanwhile, please. Further on, yeah, furthermore, use furthermore. Who's, yeah, then you keep it together, yeah? But those of you who have suggested to start a new sentence, I agree with you. And the reason is that in academic writing, many teachers will tell you that you should have one sentence for one thought. More importantly, Annie, very good. More importantly, look, we have one thing that, yeah, is worth mentioning. We found that the affinity of our antibody increased, but then there's something else. The half-life was tenfold higher. Well, maybe this is something that is really important. So then instead of saying just, furthermore, in addition, you say importantly. So what's the difference between the original and the improved version? In the original, your reader has already read through one line, two line, three line statement. If you use then and to have something else that is important, maybe your reader will just ignore that. Maybe your reader will not get to this point. If that second point really is important, then it deserves its own sentence. Yeah. So then please separate these things. There's no need to keep them together. Yeah. So if you put an importantly in front, the reader will wake up, will say, oh, okay, so this is something you think is important, so I should pay attention to it. Yeah, that's the idea. So use these linker phrases to indicate to your reader, hey, wake up, there is something important I have to tell you here. Yeah. Don't just add it at the end of a long sentence as a kind of an appendix if you think it is important. Yeah, okay. Again, don't be afraid of using full stops. Don't be afraid of breaking things up. As long as you use these linker phrases, your readers will understand what the logical connection is much better than in the original. And what do you mean by and? Yeah, is this a causal relationship? Is this just another point? Or is it something important? We don't know. Yeah. So this is something you can do by using linker phrases. You can indicate what the importance is of these individual parts. Now, but I have already mentioned, but is used not so often in academic writing. It's usually replaced by however. And this is something you can figure out. You can check in papers in your field whether that is true. Okay, so now let me show you here in this part. We talk about conjunction. So let me show you some Jinglish issues that you need to pay attention to. Have a look at this. In contrast, CD80 or CD86 were not increased in B and B C cells. What does it mean? It means it was CD80 or CD86, but we can't quite remember which one. It was one or the other. Is that really what the authors are trying to say here? Do you really want to talk like this in an academic paper? we are not sure. So we throw both at you. You can test this out yourself. Is that really how you should talk? Both. Very good. Yes. In contrast, I think this is what the author means. I mean, it's ambiguous. We don't really know. My guess would be, in contrast, neither CD80 nor CD86 positive cells will increase. Okay? Yeah. So you need to make very clear if you have these negative, yeah, in China, in the originals here, or the not. In English, you need to say neither A nor B. Okay, very important. No, you're right. So you cannot say both not. So this not or all, this is, I think, in Chinese, yeah, you use not or all. In English, you need to change this to neither nor if both are negative. And if both are positive, I will show you in a moment. Have a look at this. Cells from samples A, all samples B distributed evenly. Yeah? Same problem. Yeah, this is vague use of the conjunctions. Or so here, yeah, probably what they mean is cells from both A and B, both samples A as well as samples B distributed equally. So here we have all without not. Yeah. So ultimately, we have to go to the authors and ask them, what do you actually mean by that? Yeah. One of the two, not clear. Yeah. So this is something you need to tell us. So have a look. This is typical English here. Yeah. In contrast, both X and Y did not show inhibition on bacterial growth. Okay. So please, a little writing exercise. This is a seminar, so you're supposed to do something as well. So please, I give you 2 minutes. Please rewrite this sentence and then send to me. To give you a little bit of a break. Yeah, please write the whole sentence. Yeah, please do some writing. X nor Y did show. Do we need the did? Yeah, Jerry, neither X nor Y. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Very good. Excellent. Yeah, you get the idea. Very good. Yeah, neither X nor Y inhibited. So please, yeah, when you translate from the Chinese, make sure that you change these negative statements, yeah, into the English form. Very good. Thank you very much. Excellent. You got the idea. Any questions? This is clear. Yeah. So please be careful how you use conjunctions. Do not use conjunctions at the beginning of a sentence. And if you have to use them in the middle of a sentence, use and to just indicate a list, apple, pears, and oranges. Do not use it when you mean resulting in as a causal relationship. It's too vague, it is imprecise, it's not good academic writing. Okay? Yeah? Is it all clear? Everyone clear on this? When using and, can we change it to which? Look, this which, I have a whole section on how to use which. I call it the which problem, because this is a real headache. How to use which in a sentence. It is often used after a number of nouns, and then it becomes very difficult to understand what the author actually means. Thank you. By which. It becomes very ambiguous. Yeah. So please do not try not to use which unless you are absolutely clear what it actually means. Yeah, Mr. or Mrs. Bay. How can we know which conjunctions should not be used in academic writing? You do not need a summary table. You just go to your papers. Whenever you read papers, you pay attention. Which conjunctions are being used and how are they being used? Are they being put at the beginning of a sentence? No. Are they being used to describe causal relationships? No. But they are being used. Conjunctions are important. Go to your papers and highlight all the ands and all the buts and all the ors and have a look. Is it clear to you what the writers actually mean by and or but? Okay. If you're not clear, write an email to the author and say, what do you mean by and or but? Yeah. So this is the easiest way. Please do not start learning by heart summary tables. I think reading is much more enjoyable. Learning by reading, I think this is much better. Yeah. None of X and Y shows. No. Shows not show. Neither X or Y. None of X shows doesn't quite work. Mr. Mrs. John, why cannot use besides? Well, as I mentioned, go to your literature in your field and have a look how many use besides. You will find that no one is using besides. And the reason for that is that besides is ambiguous. What do you mean by besides? Do you mean in addition? Do you mean furthermore? Do you mean simultaneously at the same time? It's not clear. Yeah. So use one of the linker phrases, the most precise and the most suitable linker phrase. Yeah. Mr. Xiao or Mrs. Xiao, how can we know which conjunction? Yeah. Okay. We've talked about this. Yeah. Great. Jay. To use both and as well in the same sentence, no. Again, I know that your teachers have taught you for 10 years to avoid any repetition under all circumstances. In academic writing, this is the last thing you need to think about. Yeah, Jane. Both and as well as are two different terms. It's not repetitive at all. If anything, if you use, and I'm a big fan of as well as, because it takes the ambiguity out of and. Yeah, as well as means and also. It is very clear, yeah, what it means. The connection between the two facts that you connect is immediately clear. So no, it is not repetitive, and please stop worrying about being repetitive. Being repetitive is not a problem in academic writing whatsoever. Huh? Okay. Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much. Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you. All right. So let's have a look at another thing, time adverbials. So time adverbials is something like once, first, second, next, then finally, lastly. This is something that you should definitely use in a method section. And please have a look. This is a homework you can do by yourself. Please have a look where you find these time adverbials used. Do they appear at the beginning of a sentence, or do they appear in a different place? And you will see that first, second is always at the beginning. Then there's a time adverbial that actually appears in mid-verb position. It appears in active verb in front of the verb. Yeah. It's different to first and then. Subsequently can be at the beginning of a sentence. Yeah. So this is something you can pay attention to when you have a look at published papers, third section. Okay. Here, ing clauses. So this one we have already talked about for causal relationships. Yeah. What I want to do here is I want to point out something that is a bit problematic. So scientists are really big fans of ing clauses. So what they do is they start putting multiple ing clauses into one sentence, and then it reads like this. The magnitude of the earthquake is increasing quickly, thus destroying buildings and other infrastructure, resulting in major increase in casualties, leading to considerable costs for both society and individual, suggesting that urgent measures are essential to prevent such incidents. Now that is horrible. So what I would like to ask you, when you use these ING forms, try to keep it down to one, or if it's really necessary, have two. Yeah? Again, the more of them you use in the same sentence, the more ambiguous your statements become. You see, everything we talk about here is all about how to improve, how to increase the precision of your writing. And like with any drug, with any medicine, there is an optimal concentration, if you like. If you use it too much, it is just as bad as using it too little. All right? So please pay attention to how much of those things you use. So here's the revised version. And again, instead of overusing the INGs, you can break up sentences and use linker phrases. Yeah? The magnitude of the earthquake is increasing quickly, thus destroying buildings and other infrastructure. Full stop. As a result, the number of casualties increases considerably, leading to considerable cost. Yeah, so here we have leading, destroying. We still have it in there, but it's one per sentence. And then at the end, it's actually a conclusion statement. You shouldn't have in your result statement anyway. Together, our analysis suggests that. Okay, yeah. So in this way, you break your sentences up. You have nice short sentences that have one thought. You have an ING form in those sentences, and it's very clear. I mean, if you compare those two, is there anyone out there who thinks that the original is much clearer than the revised version? Anyone? Please raise your hand. Virtually. Anyone? No one. Very good. Okay. Yeah. So I hope, yeah, I could make a case here for this. So now in our class, we do exercises, and I will just share this with you. You can take a screenshot and you can do this by yourself at home. Have a look at this this example here, and as you will see once you read through this, this can cause a big headache. What are the relationship between the different parts that are being mentioned here? So I will prepare a link for you, and if you like, you can send me your advice and have a look at this. Earth rotating molten iron core generates the magnetic field that shields light from harmful radiation. The magnetic field prevents the atmosphere from being swept away by high energy particles in the solar wind. So here we have two statements that are somehow connected, but I'm sure many of you will struggle to really understand what the author is, how these things actually belong together, and what the causal relationships are. As you can see, there are no ING forms. Yeah, so ING verb forms here will be a very good tool to connect those different things that are mentioned here. But I have to warn you, you have to do quite a little bit of rearranging to make sure that you get a good logical flow here. Okay, so I'll leave this with you. You can do this as a little exercise at home. Here's just a picture of what we're talking about here. Yeah, this is Earth in the middle with its magnetic field, and you can see here on the left is the sun, and you get all these highly charged particles that are being swayed away, redirected by the nuclear, the magnetic field of Earth. Yeah. So this is a little exercise that you can do by yourself. Okay. Any questions related to ING form? Yeah. Please do use for causal relationships, but please do not overuse. That's the message, yeah, from this part. Is that clear? Any questions? Jane, clear? Mm-hmm. Very good. Yeah. Great. Okay, excellent. Good. Then let's continue. So let me now let's move up from sort of sentence to sentence, and let's move up one level where I would like to introduce to you another idea about logical flow that you need to pay attention to. So I give you a few minutes to read through this text. Here is a Google translation. I hope it is clear enough. I'll read it for you here. In recent years, considerable progress has been made in developing effective anti-malarial drugs. Artemisinin is one of the most effective anti-malarial drugs. Resistance against anti-malarial drugs is on the rise. Artemisinin is now considered a drug of last resort against which malaria has developed little resistance yet. So now I would like everyone to tell me, do you think this flows? Yes or no? Do you feel this text has a nice logical structure? Do you feel that from sentence to sentence you can really follow the reader? Yes or no? Mm-hmm. Okay. So we have established that it's really awkward. It's really not connected. So can you please tell me why you think that is? Why do you feel that there's no good logical flow? What's the problem? I'm sure in Chinese it's the same as in the English. Now you just said conjunctions are needed. I hope you mean lingo phrases, not conjunctions. I have just told you do not use conjunctions, right? No connection. Yes. Why do you feel there is no connection? What's the problem? How can we solve this issue? Some sub information, okay. What else? Any ideas? How can we improve this apart from using lingo phrases? Any other ideas? The sequence of sentences. So you would restructure, you would change the order of sentences, yeah? Mm-hmm. There's no strong correlation between sentences, yeah? Jerry, you would use linker phrases, yeah? Mr. or Mrs. YL, this is a very good comment, yeah? How basically the question here is what is the red line? What is the main theme of this text, right? This is a major problem. Yeah, very good, very well observed. You are absolutely right. Yeah. So now let's have a look at some of the terms that are being used in here, and then we become clearer on what the problem is. Have a look. The first sentence finishes with anti-malarial drugs. The next sentence starts with artemisinin. It finishes again with anti-malarial drugs. The third sentence starts with resistance, then has anti-malarial drugs somewhere inside. The next sentence starts with artemisinin, and then it has drugs, malaria resistance in the sentence. So just by analyzing the last terms in the sentences and the first terms in the beginning, you might get an idea of what the problem is here. Can you see why the sentences don't seem to be connected very well? Yeah. You see, every sentence starts with something else, right? So what we call this is a shopping list. This is like before you go to the supermarket, you make a list. Yeah, the subject is always different, right? Yeah, you make a list. Oh, I need whatever, rice, I need oil, I need salt, I need flour. This is what a shopping list looks like. Yeah. In academic writing, you need to pay, not just in academic writing, in any piece of writing, if you want to have a nice structure, you need to pay attention to that. Yeah? You cannot write like this. So let's have a look at the improved version. How do you feel now? In recent years, considerable progress has been made in developing effective antimalarial drugs. One of these drugs, artemisinin, has been shown to provide one of the most effective treatments against malaria. Because malaria has developed resistance against various other antimalarial drugs, artemisinin is now considered a drug of last resort, and so on. Now, what is different in the improved version? How do you feel about the improved version? Much better. Thank you. Why do you feel it's much better? Why do you feel that this version reads much better? Now the sentences are connected, but you see, fundamentally, yeah, fundamentally we haven't changed a lot, right? The material in the sentences is still there. All you have to do is you have to think about how is the next sentence logically connected to the sentence before. And we have talked about these summary words, yeah, these trucks. Which trucks? The trucks that have been mentioned in the sentence before. Yeah. Yeah. So this is something you remember in class 1, we have talked about how in different cultures we use language language is being, or different languages of different cultures are being used to express your way of thinking, right? I mean, that's a sort of a no-brainer. But each culture has a different way of thinking. So in the English, and especially in academic writing, you must pay attention that you have this, that kind of, you remember the straight arrow that Shakespeare didn't quite agree with, yeah? This is how you need to think about academic writing. Academic writing is not a big bag where you just throw everything in and then you leave it up to your readers to decide what to do with all those things. It's more like, you know, at Christmas, yeah, Santa Claus brings a big bag full of things that have no relationship with each other. You need to make sure that you change your way of thinking about writing in this kind of linear way, and you need to establish the connections. Yes, very good. Yeah, connect the end. Yeah. So here, what we talk about the stress and topic. Effective drugs. The stress becomes the topic of the next sentence. One of these drugs, malaria, is the stress, becomes the topic of the next sentence. So this is something, yeah, you can keep in mind. Stress topic. Okay. This is one of the most efficient ways to establish a nice logical connection between the sentence 1 to sentence 2. Okay? Is everyone clear on that? I only give you one example because we really don't have the time. This is something you check out in papers if you can find this. And the elements that we have covered today about how to improve your logical flow, they all work in this direction. Joe is clear, Joanna is clear, yeah? Jane is clear, very good. What about the other 900 participants? Are you all clear? Annie is clear, yeah? Very good, very good, yeah? So please, when you read papers, please pay attention. Can you find this element stress topic, yeah? Switch in published academic papers, yeah? Once you recognize this in the papers, your brain, as I said before, will just make use of it. Will put this into your library, and once you start writing yourself, it will come naturally to you to write like this. But you have to start reading. I keep telling you, very important. How can we write like native speakers? By reading how native speakers write. Okay, good. Okay, any questions? Anything unclear? Okay. All right. Good. Okay, then let me give you one last point before we move on to structural issues. This is what your writing usually looks like. When you start writing, yeah, your supervisor tells you, Mr. Wang, it's time for you to write your paper. Then you sit down, you have 100 papers in front of you, and you pick sentence number 1 from paper number 1, and you write it down. And then from paper 2, you take sentence 2. From paper 3, you take sentence 3, and so on and so on. And then your writing looks like this. Looks like islands in a sea without any connection. Why is that? What is the problem here? They're disconnected, right? There's no logical connection. Yes. And then you get a text, as we have just seen about artemisinin. Yeah. This is very much an example, yeah, a graphical kind of representation of the artemisinin text. We need bridges, exactly. Yeah, there are no bridges, but this is what's happening. Yeah, or Cherry says we should connect them, we should combine them. Well, that's a difficult task because in the original papers, these sentences were not connected, Cherry. We cannot just put a comma and then put them together, right? How to connect them? Exactly. This is how you think, right? You take sentences from different papers and then you think about how to connect them. Now, please tell me, anyone, do you really think you can connect them in any way? Do you think sentences from different papers are connectable? Yes or no? Thank you. Very good. Now, please tell me why you think they cannot be connected. What's the problem? Exactly, Yining, the contexts are different. 2 points for you. How can you connect sentences that come from completely different papers. Look, you're absolutely right. Sentence number 1 was written in the context of paper 1, right? Sentence number 2 was written in the context of paper 2, and so on. How can you even believe that somehow they go together? It doesn't work. Sentence number 1 fitted beautifully into, together with sentence 2 in that paper, and the sentence before in the same paper. But once you combine this with sentences from other papers, it doesn't make sense anymore. But unfortunately, this is how many of you write, and we all know why you write like this, because you say, "Whoa, this sentence is so beautiful. I couldn't possibly write it in any better way. Why would I want to change anything about this sentence?" Now, here is a cultural issue that you have to keep in mind. In a Chinese context, you see this in the China Daily, there are quotations, all the time. Every sentence, every text starts with a quotation of someone who is important. This is part of your culture, and it's totally okay. And the original author feels very happy that you do that. But you have to understand, there is something that is called plagiarism, and I'm sure your university makes very clear that you understand what that means. It means that you just take a statement from someone else and put it into your own writing, and this is not okay. Scientists feel very strongly about this. Unless you have a reference list, afterwards, so you may show this a quotation. But in academic writing, certainly in the hard sciences, it is very unusual to have direct quotations, right? We paraphrase. So, so then you end up with a text like this, and that's a real problem. So here's a solution to this problem, and I want you to test this out. I want you to read all your papers. But while you read, I would like you to take notes. And when you start writing your paper, I don't want you to go back to the original sentences. I would like you to write using your notes, and your notes ideally are not the original complete sentences from the original paper. I want you to summarize the content that you have read from paper 1 into your notes 1, and sentence 2, paper 2 into your notes 2. So you only write notes about the important things. And then on the basis of these notes, you do your own writing. Now I understand many of you will say, "Oh, but my writing is so ugly, and my writing is nowhere near as good as the original." And yes, that might be so. But let me tell you, if you start doing this today, by the time you write your own paper, your writing will have improved dramatically. But if you keep copy pasting like in this image, your writing will never improve. Okay? So again, writing a paper is not about having the most beautiful sentences from other researchers in your paper. This is not going to be appreciated by anyone. It's not about making an impression of how beautiful your writing is. Let me tell you, they will figure out immediately that these sentences are not from you. Okay? So start writing on your own. And then you go back, you read again, you compare with your own, you say, "Oh my God, this is terrible." Then you take notes again, you start writing again by yourself. You have to do this as a repetitive exercise. Otherwise, your writing will never improve. Okay? Is everyone clear on that? Does it make sense to everyone? Are there any questions related to this? Sam, clear. Very good. Okay, Jane. Yeah. Good. Excellent. Anyone else? Any questions? Okay. All right. Good. So now if there are no further questions, then the last couple of minutes we have today, I would like to give you a very quick run through over some structural elements that I would like you to start using when you put together your different sections. So last week we have already talked about abstract, yeah. So we don't have to talk about this again. Abstract, you're clear. You need background. You need your scientific question. You need your problem. You need your results, and you need your conclusion statement to have a complete mini version of your storyline. Yeah. So there are of course many questions, yeah, that you have about how to structure your paper, how to write your paper. Now, before we get to the sections, let me just very quickly give you 2 slides. When we talk about structure, we talk about organization. Yeah, there are of course these invisible structures that are being used in any piece of writing, as you can see here. Yeah. Problem solution, there's general to specific, specific to general, old to new, process description. These are kind of elements of writing, of structural elements of writing that you will find anywhere. Today, we do not have the time to go through those, but please go to MOOC, have a look there, you will find all the details. Now, some students say, oh, I'm from computer science, papers in our field are not structured. I don't think so. Papers are always structured. The structures, they may look different, they may sound different because the headings that are being used in different disciplines are called different, but otherwise it's the same. And that's because the scientific method is the same. There is always a question at the beginning, right? Then you have to explain what is unknown, yeah, how to find out what did you find, your results section, and then what is the new understanding, what is the significance of your finding. Yeah, this is true for computer science as it is for biology, as it is for geography, chemistry, physics, psychology, whatever. Yeah, because this is the way science works. So it's just sometimes a little bit difficult to build these structures in different journals. Yeah, we talked about this, so you're familiar with this. There is, of course, also the external organization that is immediately clear. Yeah, you have sections, you have subsections, you have paragraphs and sentences. Yeah, so without going into any further detail, I just want to give you a tip before you start writing. Yeah, so many of you have this question. I don't know how to start with my writing. So let me give you a tip that is related to the external organization. Before you start writing any sentence of your paper, please prepare the skeleton of your paper. So you know already the main headings: abstract, introduction, method, results, discussion. In the biology, it's usually like this. In computer science, you call them differently. So this is something, yeah, you have a look. Which paper do you want to publish your paper in? And you use those headings that are being used in that journal. And then you write down your subheadings. So in the introduction, you have subheading 1, subheading 2, subheading 3, subheading 4. In the results, same thing. Discussion, same thing. Then, before you start writing, you have a look. Does this scaffold or this table of content actually make sense? Is it logically built? Do the subheadings in the introduction match the subheadings in the results? Is there any link? If there is no link whatsoever, there's something wrong. The subheadings in the result section have to match the subheadings in the discussion. They all have to be related to each other. Yeah. So before you start writing anything, make this table of contents and then talk to your co-authors, talk to your supervisor, whether this table of contents with the headings and subheadings actually reflect your storyline. We talked about storyline last week. Yeah. This external structure has to mirror, has to reflect the story that you want to tell. Okay. So now let me show you a few things about the other sections that we haven't talked about yet. So introduction. Introduction, yeah, why did you do this study? Yeah, what's the current state of knowledge in your field? Um, I know most of you, when you finish your 1 year in Huairou or wherever you go for your first year of courses, yeah, as a master or PhD student, you need to write a literature review, right? Your supervisor, your PI gives you 200 papers and say, here, write a literature review. Now, this is a very good starting point for your introduction, but make sure that you don't just copy paste the whole thing, because introduction is not a literature review about anything that has been done in your field. Yeah? So what I would like you to take away here for the introduction part, how to write a good introduction looks like a Swiss cheese. This is how you can sort of build an image of an introduction. So the holes are the things that we do not know yet. And one of those holes is the hole that has been addressed in your particular project. Okay, so what you need to do is you need to provide a little bit of a landscape around. You have to build a bit of cheese around the hole. If there's no cheese, there's no hole, right? The hole is there because there's cheese around, and that's the idea of the introduction. Now, we don't want us to give us the whole wheel of cheese. That's for textbooks. For your paper, we just want to have this little cube, just enough to know, okay, that hole is big and that hole is important to address in your work. Okay, yeah? So this is an easy way to remember how to write an introduction. Okay, I hope everyone is happy with that. Now, there are a number of problems that I usually find in the introduction, so I want to share them with you. Often the introduction is way too long. There is too much information in there that is not related to your paper by any stretch of the imagination. So remember, yes, literature review is a good starting point, but it is not the introduction of your paper. Yeah? This is like literature review. This is the textbook or 10 textbooks, and an introduction is just the cheese around your scientific question about the gap in the knowledge in this particular field. Okay? Yeah. So that's one thing. The other thing is wrong tenses. Please make sure that you stick to present tense when you have textbook knowledge. Textbook knowledge is what we assume to be facts until proven wrong. Yeah, we assume anything that's written in a textbook is correct, so we use present tense. Previous studies, whatever action you describe, investigated, evaluated, tested, you use past tense. If you talk about multiple studies have shown something, you can use the continuing tense. That's okay. Yeah. But otherwise, you don't need that continuing past tense in any other sections. You know, sometimes I see had been used in the results section, in the method section. No need for that. Only in the introduction section. Too much passive voice use. So unfortunately, there are still too many teachers who teach academic writing in a way that claims that your entire paper must be written in passive voice. That is wrong. Completely wrong. Passive voice you use in the method section because we know that these are the methods that you have used and you describe your own action. So we don't need to use active voice. In all the other sections, please use as much active voice as possible. Here we show a previous study showed. Do not say it was shown. Who showed? We have no idea. This is very confusing. So please use active voice as much as you can. Now, here is something unfortunately, the link is in black, but you can look for Manchester. This is called Word Bank, Manchester University. This will come up. This is a wonderful link that has all the different sections you can see here: introduction, describing methods, results, discussion, conclusions. For each section of your paper, it will give you a long list of different phrases that are commonly used and that you can make use of. Yeah, it shows you all the different lingo phrases that can be used. Yeah, please go there and have a look. Lots of examples that you can learn from. Okay. So this is a piece of homework that you can do. Please, go have a look at the introduction section, and have a look in the introduction section. Can you actually see whether the authors pay attention to their diverse audience, or have they not provided sufficient material, introduction material for all the different, for the young researcher, for the competitor, maybe for someone who's looking for a new field of study, for all these different readers of your paper that may not be experts in your particular field. This is something, homework that you can do after class, whenever you read a paper. So, method section, as I have already mentioned, use passive voice, past tense, whenever you describe what you have done. For all the methods, steps that you have undertaken. Here in this example, you can say first the three most common strains of virus were identified. You don't have to say we identified. We know it is you because you describe your own method section. So use passive and you use past tense. Do not use present tense. It makes no sense. You are finished with your experiments by the time that the readers read your paper. So there's no meaning in using present tense. Strains were then grown and harvested. Subsequently, harvested virus was purified and inactivated. You can see this is how the process descriptions are being written in method section. Now, there is one thing that is different. There is one description that is different to the process description. It's called system description, where you talk about a machine you're using. Have a look here. So this is a machine. This is a magnetic refrigeration machine. This is so schematically, and here we have the actual machine. What it looks like with pumps and valves and all sorts of other things. And have a look here. The two parallel regenerators perform 2 cycles. Fluid is distributed. Structure that holds. Can you see here? Everything is in present tense. Why is that? Just now I told you in the system, in the process description, what you have done is all past tense. Why do you use in systems descriptions describing machines? Why do you think you should use present tense? Any suggestions? What is different to a process description? Do you describe what people have done here? Do you describe people's actions? Anyone? So what is not clear? Yes, Jane, no people actions. So instead, what do systems description describe? What do they describe? If they do not describe people actions, what do they actually describe? Facts. And what tense do we use to describe facts? Mr. or Mrs. Young, very good. Which tense do we use for facts? Present tense, very good. Because this machine should have worked like this yesterday. It should work like this today. And hopefully it will still work like this tomorrow, right? Yeah. So here you're absolutely right. We describe facts. So present tense, but you can see we have passive voice, depending on what the relationship is. Fluid is distributed in each pipe. You have to use a passive voice, yeah? Regenerators are constraints. Drive is control. You use the passive voice, active voice as you need it. But remember, when you describe machines, you use present tense because it's a factual statement. Okay? Everyone clear on that? I believe so. Yes, algorithms you describe in present tense. Yes, yes. Yeah. Everyone clear on this? Yes. Very good. Yes, Mr. or Mrs. CHO, you're absolutely right. This is in a nutshell. You can remember when you get confused about using tenses. That is how you can put it. Your action, I mean, human action, your own action or other researchers' action, investigated, assessed, evaluated, tested, use past tense, facts and describing systems, present tense. Very good. Very good. Yeah. If you remember that, then you cannot get confused about tenses anymore. Yeah. Very good. Excellent. Good. So here are a number of issues that I have come across in the method section, just small things, but something for you to pay attention to. Sometimes I find students have copy-pasted their lab book descriptions of what they do. It looks like add A to B, mix D with C, heat solution to 100 degrees Celsius. You cannot do that. This is in your lab book. This is your protocol that you have saved on some laboratory computer to describe to you what you have to do. But you cannot write your method section in a paper like that. You have to change this to next A was added to B. Subsequently, D was mixed with C. Solution was heated to 100 degrees Celsius, okay? So tense, please do not use any present tense. Space problem. This is confusing. So if you have SI units like milliliter, gram, millimolar, you have to have a space. If you have these non-SI units like degrees Celsius, no space. Yeah, please make sure you remember that. Okay, that's that. Again, in the Manchester Phrase Bank, you'll find describing methods. All sorts of different examples you can find there. So again, homework, please have a look. Can you find a present tense use in the method section of the papers that you are reading? Then I want you to have a look. Why did they use present tense? Are you reading a system description or is it something else? Yeah, please pay attention to tense in the method section so that you get a better idea of why people use present tense versus past tense. If they use it wrongly, write an email to them, tell them that their tense is wrong. Okay. Good. No questions, I'm sure. Result section. So here, a number of problems about result section. So there's no aim statement, too many next we also did, too many methods details, no logical connection between different results, wrong tense. So what I want to show you here is a very simple structure that I would like you to start using without worrying about sounding too repetitive. Just use it over and over again, and your readers will be ever so grateful to you because it is so clear to them why you did the experiment. You describe in the motivation aim statement, in order to investigate or to investigate. The focus, we performed or we measured parameter XYZ. Method, using method 1, 2, 3. That is one sentence. Okay. Where to find the results? You tell your reader at the beginning, as shown in figure 1. The best thing is to put this at the beginning, but when you have a look at papers, you will often find it at the end of a sentence. Both is okay, but I believe it's best to put it at the beginning, because then you don't have to think about, oh, how do I start this result sentence? You sit there for half an hour and then you say, okay, let me use as shown in figure 1. And then it's just so easy. Because if you use as shown in figure 1, the only thing you can do is to describe A bound to B. It's very simple. Okay? Yeah, and you can do this for every single figure. You can do this from as shown in figure 1, as shown in figure 2, as shown in figure 10, 11, 12. Do not start playing around because you're afraid that you sound too repetitive. If you think you sound too repetitive, please tell me, do you believe that any paper was ever rejected because it sounded too repetitive? Ever? Yes or no? Do you really believe any reviewer ever said, sorry, your paper is beautiful, but it's too repetitive, I reject? This is such a big worry to you. Do you really believe that any serious reviewer will ever make this argument? Yes or no? Thank you, Mr. Shah or Mrs. Shah. It's a silly argument, and so forget about this. I can already see many of you thinking, oh, if I say this every time, it's just too repetitive. It doesn't matter. There's not an argument, yeah, for the reviewers to reject your paper. What it is instead, it is clear and precise, and your readers, they will be grateful because they know exactly what you're talking about, and they will know at the beginning where to look for which figure. Okay, that's the most important. So let me give you an example here. Yeah, this is from a paper I'm editing. In order to determine blah blah blah, sentence continues. We performed analysis of XYZ. Then a new sentence, as shown in figure 1a, the peaks varied, blah, blah, blah. Next result, in contrast, all 9 tissues tested, yeah, exhibited strong white peaks. This is one beautiful, yeah, description of results. And this is the kind of structure that I would like you to use for every single result in your paper. If you use that, your paper will be just very clear. No space for misunderstanding. And the good thing here is you have the aim at the beginning. It means you have to be clear why you did this experiment, and your readers will be clear why you did this experiment. Okay? Yeah. So, and then at the end, short summary. Together, these results suggested, indicated that. Yeah, this is your short summary in every results section that you're writing. Yeah, for every graph, you have this little summary, and then you continue. Yeah, so here, example, together these results suggested that dynamic expression of X, yeah, plays a critical role during spermatogenesis. Okay, yeah. So here you have to think about what does the result actually mean. You give a very short summary to your readers here. Okay, so then in the next section, yeah, you might start, yeah, we therefore tested next if A binds to B, yeah, so this is how you can build a logical link from one section to the next. Again, reporting results in the phrase bank, you will find all the phrases you need. Homework, yeah, have a look in the papers you read. Is there an aim statement? Do the writers clearly express why they do a particular experiment? Yeah. If not, maybe you can write one for them. Yeah. You have a look at the results description, and then you go back and say, well, okay, this should have been the aim statement. Do these little writing exercises. Yeah. If you're not sure whether you're right, write to the author, say, is this the correct aim statement for this experiment? Start interacting with those people. I'm sure they will be very happy to reply to you. Okay, so any questions related to the results section? Yes, yes, I will give you the link, no problem. I will send it to Professor Wan. She will forward to you. Okay, good. So last part, discussion. So this is a very basic structure that if you keep applying this, your discussion will be already greatly improved because most discussions. Thank you very much, Isha. Wonderful. Yeah, very easy to find. Yeah, Phrase Bank, Manchester. Very good. So the discussion, if you have a basic structure like this, nothing can go wrong. First, you need a short summary of your main findings. Short summary here doesn't mean half a page instead of 1 page. It means 1 sentence. I know it's the most difficult thing. Normally, what I see when I revise papers, I have like every single result at the beginning of the discussion. DE, DR, DSUN, it's not necessary, totally unnecessary. You have just shown all your results in the result section. No need. Have a short summary of your main finding or 2 main findings that are related to the main topic of your paper. Then in the next section, you discuss each finding in the context of the literature. Yeah. Here we showed X, Y, Z. Very short summary statement of your first result, and then you say, however, in a study, done on mice, they found something else. So then you have to start discussing why are the differences, what are the implications, and so on. And then at the very end, and this is sort of conclusion, you need to provide a broader perspective. You need to provide a discussion on what are the implications of your findings for the field and for the understanding of your particular work. So here, this is a schematic representation of how a paper should look like. You can see these different shapes. And the one in the middle is the one that you should aspire to. So how wide it is indicating how general you have started your paper. So at the top, you have your introduction, and your introduction starts with a very broad framework, and then it gets more and more specialized. Then you come to your results section, and then at the bottom part, this is your discussion. So you start with your individual results discussions, and then the conclusion goes wider, and you must try to bring it as wide apart as you have started in your introduction. Yeah. So don't start like you start very broad here, and then you end in a very specific way. Over there, you don't give a broad overview, but you end with very general implications. Those two are not ideal. You should aspire to write like the one in the middle. So important points again. So the discussion again causes a lot of confusion with the past tense, present tense. So like you are aware by now, yeah. Past tense for past actions, yeah, when you describe what you have done. Present tense for conclusions, for factual statements. Try to use more active voice. This is really important. If you keep using passive voice, we have no idea what you're talking about. Who has actually done this study? So that's something. Common problems. Now, the discussion section is the most difficult section to write. Yes, I'm sure you have all experienced this. So what you do, because it is so difficult, you go back and you start repeating all your results descriptions. You start referring to figures. You shouldn't do that. If you start referring to figures, it means you have moved back to your results section. Please don't do that. The moment you write see figure 1, stop and delete. You should not use these location elements unless for your model. For results, you have done this in the results section. Please don't do this again in the discussion section. Repeat of introduction. I think I have an example here. Have a look at this. This is how the discussion starts of a paper. There's like 1 page of introduction material. The ideal platform, potential application, blah, 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 blah. Numerous efforts have been made, blah, blah, blah. Successful delivery would be more advantageous. This is an introduction, has nothing to do with discussion. So please make sure that you do not make this mistake. And we all know why you do this is because you think you have so little to say in your discussion that you need all this extra material. No, please don't do that. This is not a good discussion. A good discussion has those 3 parts, has a 1-sentence summary, has an in-depth discussion of each result, and has the conclusion section that tells us about the importance of your work. All of this is totally unnecessary. And let me tell you, I have seen comments by reviewers who said, please delete all the introduction material in your discussion. In a very angry kind of voice, you can imagine. Yeah, they do not want to read all of this again. So please don't do that. Yeah. So, okay. So again, yeah, writing a conclusion, discussing findings. You can find this in the Manchester Bank. So this is a very quick kind of summary overview over how to think about these different sections, especially in the biological medical sciences. You can make full use of these structures that I have provided you here with. So in summary, please start with a general construct, write your table of contents, then talk to your co-authors before you start writing any of the details. Yeah. Avoid repeating your results over and over. When I edit papers, I see the results in the abstract. I see the results at the end of the introduction. I see them, of course, in the results section, and then I see them again at the beginning of the discussion section, and then probably again in the conclusion. This is not a good way of writing your paper. There's no need. Do not stretch the results across your entire paper is not necessary, and it doesn't read very well either. Yeah. So make sure that you write first, write in Chinese, then you translate, ideally using Google Translator when you translate from Chinese into English, because Google definitely has a better feeling for the target language being English. Yeah, start editing, start revising. You need to do a lot of revising when you write. That is in the nature of things. Please make sure that you have a very good idea of how the journal actually wants you to write your paper. Yeah, go to the author's instructions. This is a PDF instruction manual that you will find on the website of the journal to which you want to submit your paper. Yeah, so this is something you need to do. Okay, so that's pretty much all. Now there is a question always about the order of writing. Yeah, so many of you ask this question. So where I don't know where to start. Well, look. How you start in the end, you kind of make up your own order of things. Every author of a paper handles this differently, and you can even find here. This is a paper that I'm happy to share with you, or you just look up the title and you will find it yourself. This is from eLife, so this is available. Point of view, tell me a story. So here the author of this article makes this point. Many authors start with the figures when writing a paper, but it's easy to tell a good story if you start with the introduction and the results, leave the figures for later. Here I have told you that it's better to start with your results, because if you don't write your results first, you don't know what the what the storyline is, but you have a look there and see if you agree with this. But whatever order you prefer to start, you have to start today with writing. Okay, so please don't wait until your boss says, hey, you have 1 week left to write your paper, and then you panic and then you don't know what to do, and it's just going to be a chaos. Yeah, so please start as we speak, go back and start doing some small writing exercises. Work with your papers. That's a very good start. Yeah, as I have mentioned for each section today, go have a look, pay attention to all those details that I have mentioned, introduced to you today in the logic part, and let your brain do the rest. Okay, so there was a comment just now. Can you please just copy paste me again? There was something about space. You are referring to the space between the numeral and the unit. Is that right? The simple rule is if you have an international unit like kilogram or millimolar, there should be a space. For all the non-standard units, you don't need that space. Yeah. So, okay, so my suggestion, while you are still working in the lab, you would start reading. Open a reading club. Students, yeah, from your lab who have listened to this seminar, please get together, choose a paper that you all like, and then start reading through it. One of you talks about the abstract, you can talk about language elements, you can talk about structure. The next one does the introduction. Now you have a better idea of what an introduction should look like. The next one does results. The next one of you does the discussion. Just talk to each other. It's much easier that way. Yeah, you can do this over dinner or lunch and just exchange ideas. Yeah, say this is a terrible paper. This is a great paper to learn from. Exchange papers that you like. Warn your fellow students about papers you don't like. Just sit together. You don't need a supervisor. You can do this by yourself. Yeah, but just start doing this. And if you have this as a club, it's much more fun. Yeah, together with other students. Read for content and grammar. Do this 5 minutes every day. All you have to do is take one abstract, one day, highlight all the different things you can find in there, things that we have talked about here. And let me tell you, you don't even have to take notes. Your brain will take notes for you. And the more often you do this, the easier it will be for you once you start writing yourself. Please stop copy pasting. Of course, it's an issue of scientific misconduct. Yeah, there is now severe punishment for anyone who is found to have copy pasted extensively, yeah, from other people's writings. But it's also an issue, as you have seen today, for your logical flow. So just stop doing it altogether. Yeah, write something first, write your own thing, then you go back, have a look, how have the authors written it themselves, and then you rewrite. Think of your audience. All of these bad examples that I keep showing you here in these classes, they all show that the authors have not paid attention to their audience. Yeah, so that is something you really have to start thinking about. Tell a complete story. Yeah, the end of your discussion section must have a conclusion that tells the reader exactly what your thoughts are of why your work is so important. Why do you think anyone should read your paper? If you just repeat your results, all you do is you throw knowledge, the same knowledge, at your readers over and over. Don't do this. Delete and write a proper conclusion instead that tells the reader, hey, we think this paper, our findings are really important because they fundamentally change how we think about the system that we have looked at. Okay? Yeah? And as I have just said, start writing now. Now, some of you may have been asked to write a literature review right now. please go to your supervisor this afternoon, send him a WeChat message, say, hey boss, can I write my literature review in English? I do not want to translate from English into Chinese, and then from Chinese I have to translate into English again when I write my own paper. Can I just write it in English? This will be your first writing exercise. Okay, this is a good starting point. You have to do this anyway, so why not use this opportunity? Ask your PI, your supervisor, can I write my literature review in English? Don't be afraid, the English will not be beautiful, but that's okay. It doesn't matter. Yeah. Good. Okay. So this is my list of tips that I think, yeah, you're now in the position to start doing. So pretty much that's all for today. Next, yeah. Okay. We have already talked about this, so we don't have to. Yeah. So now, if there are any other questions that you would like me to answer, yeah, please feel free. That's all for today. Next week, I will show you a number of commonly made mistakes. So these are things that I find in papers, our students, common mistakes made by young Chinese writers, authors that of course, come from the Chinese language being translated into English. And these are the things that I would like you to pay attention to. Okay, so now, any questions, please fire away. Okay, Marx, Joe, I have checked for scientific papers, there is space. There is space where? Between degrees Celsius? Give me an example so I know what you're referring to. All clear. Okay, thank you. Thank you for your feedback. Thank you for your encouragement. 谢谢你的鼓励。Anything else? Any questions? Please fire away. You must have lots of questions. Some papers have no discussion section, which means the discussions mix the result. Yes, you're absolutely right. It's not about what I suggest. It's about what the journal wants you to do. And because of that, different journals have different formats. Actually, having results and discussion together is a much more natural way of writing. Unfortunately, most journals have pulled them apart, which makes your writing quite difficult. It's kind of normal that your brain describes a result and the next moment you want to discuss. So because many journals have pulled this apart, you need to repeat in a half or one sentence each result in the second part of your discussion. Yeah. So it's not about what I suggest. It's about you having to check the journal. Yeah, you have to go to the journal and check what is the standard format for articles in the journal in which you want to publish your paper. That's what you have to do. Yeah. Okay. Shall I revise? Review. You mean review? Yeah. Please review. You always review. Every one of you, please. Always. Sure. Definitely. Any other questions? Yeah, including today. This was the third class today. Could you please briefly introduce how to write a cover letter? Look, if there is interest in how to write cover letter, rebuttal letter, I'm very happy to show this next week. I have the material. Yeah, is anyone else interested in talking about cover letter? Okay, Sarah. Yeah. Okay. I will do that. No problem. All right. Okay. Especially rebuttal. A cover letter is kind of easy, but the rebuttal letter, you know, this is the letter you write in response to the comments by the reviewers. That is really difficult. So we can definitely talk about this as well, if you like. Yeah. Yeah.
Very interesting.
Very interesting. Good. Sure, no problem. I will also introduce you to how to write the acknowledgement section, because I'm really sad to see acknowledgement sections in papers written by Chinese authors. Very sad. So I will introduce you to all of these different things. All the we call this the paperwork part. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions about logical flow? The most important thing really is you start reading papers with attention, paying attention to the things we have mentioned today and in the last two classes, and that's really all you have to do. Yeah. So I just hope that after this series of classes, you actually know what to pay attention to. That is the important thing. Yeah. Before, you had no idea how to read a paper. You would just read a paper for content. I hope by now you're all clear to not just read for content, but to read for these language elements as well. Yeah. Do you have a better feeling now for what to pay attention to when you read a paper? Yes or no? Grace said yes. Very good. Much better. Okay. Great. Thank you. Excellent. Very happy to hear that. Great. Okay, look, I don't want to keep you for much longer. We can finish here if there are no more questions, and then you have more time to start reading science news, science-related stories, anything that you're interested in. Yeah, and we shall see you again next week. Thank you very much for working so hard with me here. I want to thank all those guys that contributed to this communication: Giovanna, Dan, Annie Chung, Sarah, Bei, Xiao, Trace. It's great having you guys. You make all the difference. Without you, I would feel like a news anchor. So please come back next week. Until then, stay safe and have a good time. Okay? Jayo. Bye-bye. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Yeah.